We have a ton to cover here, so let's start right away. Where Winds Meet's new expansion. Everstone Studio has released a new trailer for Where Winds Meet that confirms the Imperial Palace expansion is slated to arrive sometime in 2026. The footage shows some story teases and focuses on the core fantasy that's made the open-world action RPG stand out, centering on sweeping wuxia-style clashes and a handful of returning in-game characters trading blows. Though light on specifics, the reveal sets up the Imperial Palace as the next major step for a game that has rapidly grown since launch. Where Winds Meet recently crossed 9 million players within its first 2 weeks, and is receiving updates including a new zone, several extra bosses, a raid-style activity, and a fresh sword trial to tackle for high-level martial artists. Claire Obscure's new post-game update. Just when it seemed like the Game Awards wouldn't end with any other announcements, Sandfall Interactive confirmed that its massive free update for Claire Obscure is now live. Patch 1.50 doesn't just bring support for more languages and improvements for handhelds like the ROG Xbox Ally and Steam Deck, it also contains tons of new content. This includes a new location, Versos Drafts, which is available in Act 3, though you'll need Eski's underwater ability. There are new enemies to battle, late-game bosses, the Endless Tower, which are variations of those from the base game, new Luminas, weapons, and some surprises. If you haven't collected all the journals in an initial playthrough, there's also the old key item, but that's not all. Photo mode is also available alongside Lumina sets for saving up to 50 loadouts. You can also scale the HUD elements, making them bigger or smaller, and abandon battles. No Law. Neon Giant is back with another title, introducing No Law at TGA 2025. This open-world RPG shooter is slated to bring the studio's signature style to Port Desire, a sprawling city whose cyberpunk-inspired streets are home to a lot of violence and turmoil. Enter Gray Harker, a military veteran who's out to get the people who messed up his retirement plans, unleashing his extensive skills and weapons expertise in a brutal and bloody gameplay loop. All in all, this is a title to watch out for when it hits the shelves sometime in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Highguard. As the final reveal of the Game Awards, Wildlight Entertainment revealed Highguard, a fantasy first-person shooter. It's out on January 26, 2026 for Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC, and focuses on characters who combine spells with firearms. The premise involves fighting other players for the Shield Breaker, which you then use to destroy their territory. Of course, it's not a matter of simply bringing it down. You destroy the shield guarding an enemy base and then summon a massive siege engine before mounting an attack. Touted as a PvP raid shooter, no extraction, which is a good sign, players can wall run, obliterate walls to reveal new routes, and much more. Characters have different skills, from throwing knives to ripping out opponents' hearts. Even more intriguing is the addition of mounts to travel from one objective to the next. Phantom Blade Zero release date. S-Games Phantom Blade Zero finally has a release date, and it's out on September 9th, 2026 for PS5 and PC. A new gameplay trailer is available, and it's as intriguing as it is breathtaking. Alongside showcasing some new weapons, like a massive spear and hook swords, the trailer highlights new bosses, like a massive ogre-like creature. Though they're wielding some heavy chained objects, the player can turn them against his foe. Even more notable is the ability to combine the various moves with flying swords, and it's as exaggerated as it is stunning. Order of the Sinking Star. Arc Games and Thelka have announced Order of the Sinking Star, a large-scale narrative puzzle adventure from director Jonathan Blow, the man behind the likes of Braid and The Witness. Order of the Sinking Star drops players into a strange realm of curious magic, dangerous contraptions, and vicious monsters, built around more than 1,000 handcrafted puzzles. Progress is non-linear, encouraging players to revisit areas, experiment, and tackle puzzles at their own pace. Blow describes the game as his biggest and most collaborative work, a game design super collider that fuses ideas from multiple noted puzzle designers. Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thief announced. After what seemed like forever, Bandai Namco has finally revealed the next game in the Ace Combat series, Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thief. Once again brought to us by Project Aces, it focuses on the fall of the titular Wings of Thieves and how you, the player, must carry on the title. Launching in 2026 for Xbox Series X and S, PC, and PS5, Ace Combat 8 is developed on Unreal Engine 5. Per a new interview with Variety, the year is 2029, and you're a pilot on the Endurance, which is full of refugees after the attack on the Federation of Central Usia. Your job as Wings of Thieves, which is the capital of the FCU, is to retake the nation from the Republic of Satoa. You'll have 3 allies on hand to help out, but it's a task that's easier said than done. Development is assisted by ILCA, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and thus far, it's looking exactly like what we expect from Ace Combat. Forloop announced. Sony Interactive Entertainment and Bad Robot Games have announced Forloop, a new 4-player co-op shooter set in an original sci-fi universe. Led by Left 4 Dead veteran Mike Booth, the game is built around squads of 4 players fighting back against an overwhelming alien force, with an emphasis on tight teamwork and improvisation over strictly scripted encounters. Each run tasks players with pushing deeper into hostile zones, combining abilities and gear to create powerful synergies. As the alien threat escalates, survival depends on managing positioning, rescuing downed teammates, and making the most of limited opportunities to escape or press the attack. Lords of the Fallen 2 revealed. CI Games has unveiled the first gameplay look at Lords of the Fallen 2 during the Game Awards of 2025, showcasing a much harsher take on its Souls-like formula. The new trailer highlights brutal combat against towering monsters across an expansive world, defined by its dual realm structure and ongoing clash with various enemies. Players take on the role of the Lampbearer, using a new dismemberment system to tear enemies apart and trigger fresh execution animations. CI Games is pitching the sequel as an across-the-board step up, with faster, more unforgiving combat and a significantly expanded enemy and boss roster. Warlock Dungeons & Dragons announced. Wizards of the Coast has announced Warlock Dungeons & Dragons, a third-person, single-player action adventure set in a dark fantasy open world inspired by Dungeons & Dragons, and it's currently in development for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox. Developed by Montreal-based Invoke Studios, the game casts players as Katri, a veteran warrior who enters into a dangerous pact to wield otherworldly magic against encroaching dark powers. Magic sits at the core of Warlock Dungeons & Dragons' design. Every spell is pitched as a tool for both exploration and combat, unlocking new paths across a beautiful yet unsettling world, while also combining with melee attacks to create encounters that are meant to feel both tactical and visceral. Sorrowos delayed, new trailer revealed. Housemarque and actor Rahul Kohli presented a new trailer for its upcoming bullet hell roguelite, Sorrowos, introducing several new character players that we'll encounter on Carcosa. However, it also revealed that the title has been delayed to April 30th, 2026. Pre-orders are also now available with the standard edition costing $69.99. 007 First Light new trailer. IO Interactive officially announced that Lenny Kravitz will have a role in 007 First Light. Check out Bamwa, the most prolific black market dealer in the Western Hemisphere. He certainly knows how to make an impression, dangling James Bond and his ally over hungry crocodiles. As unexpected as Kravitz's role seems, he's a natural fit for the calm, collected, and wildly unpredictable Bamwa. As noted before, however, it's likely that he's not the only villain in the upcoming spy thriller. We haven't seen anything yet on 009, aside from his daring escape via airplane from Bond. Perhaps Bamwa can provide some clues on how the would-be 007 can find 009. Time will tell. 007 First Light launches on March 27, 2026 for Xbox Series X and S, PS5, PC, and Nintendo Switch 2. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando release date. Saber Interactive and Focus Entertainment have joined hands again after the success of 2024's Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. This time around, it's John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, a co-op first-person shooter that's already made waves at Gamescom 2025. With John Carpenter also involved in the game's writing, Toxic Commando pits you and 3 other players against hordes of zombies that are out to get you in the wake of a failed experiment that has the scientists who created it scrambling to contain its adverse effects. It's a simple premise that sets up the gameplay loop well, and the game brings a lot of potential to the table. Toxic Commando is definitely a title to look out for when it releases March 12th, 2026. Control Resonant revealed. Remedy Entertainment debuted the first gameplay trailer for Control Resonant, its long-awaited sequel to Control. If you recall, it entered full production and appears to have made significant progress since it's out in 2026 for Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC via Steam, the Epic Game Store, and more. So what's happening since the Hiss infiltrated the oldest house and the Federal Bureau of Control? Well, Manhattan is officially in crisis thanks to a threat. It's not Jesse Faden who answers the call, but her brother Dylan. He's also capable of telekinesis, though he relies more on melee weapons from dual-wielding objects to a giant two-handed sledge. Of course, Dylan is capable of flight, battling threats in mid-air. Overall, it looks like a brand new gameplay take, complete with all the presentation hooks and atmosphere of the original. And we dig it. At any rate, it's a massive step up from FBC Firebreak. LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight release date announced. It wouldn't be an award ceremony without Batman. And TT Games dropped a new gameplay trailer and release date for LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. It's out on May 29, 2026 for Xbox Series X and S, Nintendo Switch 2, PS5, and PC. The new trailer highlights the various heroes that will assist Batman, including Robin, Catwoman, Nightwing, and yes, even Commissioner Gordon. Of course, Gotham City deserves a better class of criminal, which is why the Joker is present, but you'll also have to contend with Bane, the Penguin, and Poison Ivy, among other iconic foes. Antos announced. Ever wondered what Frictional Games of Soma fame has been up to since the release of Amnesia the Bunker? Well, as it turns out, another horror game with perhaps its most disturbing imagery yet. Coming to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC in 2026, it stars Stellan Skarsgård of Andor fame and takes place in a repurposed hotel on the moon. It's not clear what's going on, but there's plenty of body horror mixed with cyberpunk and gruesomeness. Star Wars: Fate of the Old Republic. Rumors ran rampant about Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake receiving a new trailer, but as it turns out, it was for a brand new title. Directed by Casey Hudson, who worked on the original Mass Effect trilogy and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic is a new single-player role-playing game set during the days of the Old Republic. There wasn't much information revealed aside from a CG trailer showcasing a female protagonist, 2 companions, and a strange new threat. Of course, you'll have your trusty lightsaber to help out. Pragmata launches on April 24th, 2026. As recent ratings suggested, Pragmata now has a release date. It's out on April 24, 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, with Nintendo Switch 2 announced as an additional platform. In development for many years and seeing significant delays, Pragmata focuses on Hugh, who ventures through a hostile lunar research station. While his weapons are effective against all the angry robots, he needs Diana's help to breach their defenses. The result is a dual gameplay style where you must simultaneously hack enemies and then attack their weaknesses. It sounds simple in theory, but as the latest trailer showcases, there are some serious massive threats to deal with. In the midst of all this, Hugh questions whether Diana doesn't have her own dreams and desires. While it's still a few months off, PC players can try out a free demo for Pragmata today. It's coming to other platforms at a later date, so stay tuned for more updates. Audio Mech announced. Dylan Fitterer of AudioSurf fame has a new title on the horizon, and surprise, it's heavily music-focused. Audio Mech sees you piloting a mech in a hostile world fueled by music. Essentially, all red elements are influenced by a track's bass, while the vocals and lead instruments influence all purple elements. Meanwhile, treble influences all the blue elements. Your mech has 3 forms: bass knight, vocal gunship, and treble bomber. So depending on how bass or treble heavy a track is, it may be to your advantage. Of course, for those who want a less stressful experience, there's Relax mode, where you can't be damaged, and Touring mode, where health recovers over time. There's also the roguelite-ish Headliner mode, where clearing each wave allows for choosing upgrades or more hearts. If you're looking for something more punishing, go for Metal mode, where there are no upgrades or health regen. Tomb Raider Catalyst announced. The wait for the next Tomb Raider has been long. And while you have to wait until 2027, it's official, Lara Croft is back and in her biggest adventure yet with Tomb Raider Catalyst. Launching in 2027 and developed by Crystal Dynamics, it sees a more confident Croft handily disposing of some foes. And don't worry, her trusty grappling hook returns as well. Tomb Raider Catalyst is coming to Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC with Amazon Game Studios serving as publisher. While its gameplay has yet to be showcased, the trailer does see Croft desperately wall bouncing and clinging to massive terrain shifts. She quickly emerges to overlook an ancient city, and it sure does lend credence to rumors that this could be an open world title. Tomb Raider: Legacy of Atlantis. Alright, it's a great time to be a Tomb Raider fan with TGA 2025 giving us not one, but two new titles to sink our teeth into over the next couple of years. Legacy of Atlantis turns the clock back in a retelling of the franchise's first title. However, things are looking very different this time around. In an era of some very successful remakes of contemporary classics, Legacy of Atlantis is more than just a fresh coat of paint on Lara's debut adventure. Yes, the Unreal Engine 5 powered graphics give all of the environments showcased in the trailer a layer of realism and immersion that is sure to elevate its gameplay loop. But equally important is the fact that this one is slated to tie into the unified timeline, a new canon for the franchise aimed at establishing continuity over the many titles it has amongst its ranks. While details are scarce about potential changes to the game's story and exploration at this time, this is a title that could capitalize on the nostalgia of it all to draw in the franchise's fans. Although the announcement trailer didn't come with a concrete release date, Legacy of Atlantis is coming to PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S sometime in 2026. Invincible Versus launches on April 30th, 2026. Quarter Up's Invincible Versus introduced another addition to its roster of heroes, villains, and anti-heroes, and this time, it's Elemental. If you haven't heard of her, don't worry, she's completely new to the franchise, making her debut in the fighter as a master of the elements. On top of showcasing her moves, the developer announced a release date, April 30th, 2026 for Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. Total War: Warhammer 40,000 announced. The data mining, as with many rumors and leaks before the Game Awards, turned out to be true. Creative Assembly is venturing into the Warhammer 40,000 universe. If you've played any of the Dawn of War titles, this will look very familiar. Space Marines battling against orcs, and it's not long before the Imperium of Man brings orbital lasers into the fray. Several worlds are showcased with war raging throughout the system, and suffice it to say that diplomacy might not be much of an option. A brief look at pre-alpha in-engine gameplay footage highlighted the various battles taking place on a massive scale, alongside the various chapters that players can control. It's also worth noting that two more factions, the Aldari and Astra Militarium, are also included. Total War Warhammer 40,000 doesn't have a release date, but it's coming to PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PS5. Resident Evil Requiem shows Leon in action. Not simply satisfied with a release date for Pragmata, the developer premiered a brand new trailer for Resident Evil Requiem. As leaked by the PlayStation Store, Leon S. Kennedy is a playable character, and unlike Grace, his gameplay is more action-oriented. Along with wielding a magnum and kicking fools in the face, Leon can also wield a chainsaw. While he saves Grace at one pivotal moment, he has his own investigation ongoing. Then there's the mysterious Victor Gideon, who was involved with Umbrella and purchased a building related to the corporation. As always, we'll need to wait for more details. Star Wars Galactic Racer announced. In a TGA 2025 announcement that could be music to the ears of Star Wars fans, Fuse Games' debut title takes its players to the world of pod racing. It's a great idea made even better by the knowledge that this one's being developed by a team with a lot of racing game experience under its belt. With the knowledge of franchises like Burnout and Need for Speed powering the experience, this one's set in a galaxy where the Empire has fallen, and the crime syndicate has created an underground racing circuit in the Outer Rim. If this title has caught your eye, you're going to be quite happy to know that it drops sometime in 2026 for Windows, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. The Forest 3. It wouldn't be a video game showcase without some unusual, unexpected, and out-of-left-field announcements. Cue N-Night Games with Forest 3, a new title in the Forest series with the first trailer showcasing a space traveler who ends up hundreds of millions of light years away from Earth on an alien planet. This world is teeming with unique flora and fauna, including facehugger-like creatures that can suddenly lunge at the player. Fortunately, you have a mounted robot arm to catch them in midair, and it also serves as a scanner to learn more about the environment, including the giant creature that wants you dead. Especially that. With how Sons of the Forest ended, and no, it didn't provide the most concrete of answers either, it'll be interesting to see how this ties into the overarching lore. Forest 3 doesn't have a release date or platforms, but you could assume it's coming to PC like previous entries and probably launching in early access first. Exodus receives new trailer. Among the many exciting announcements at TGA 2025 is Exodus, a sci-fi RPG with astounding visuals backed up by a premise that carries the potential for a grand adventure. Set in a future where humanity is establishing colonies in star systems light years away, the story focuses on humanity's struggle for survival with different factions vying for control of a fragile society that's also contending with the effects of time dilation. Indeed, time may be of the essence as player agency, and the potential for multiple endings is slated to work with mechanics that could have you smiling fondly at the memories of Interstellar, a sense of nostalgia made even better by the presence of Matthew McConaughey in the game's cast. However, you might want to pace out your excitement for this one, as it currently does not have a release date aside from an early 2027 window. That's a long wait before you get to dive into this one on PC, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. Larian Studios' next game. Well, we can't show much of this game, it's too gory. Larian Studios is working on a new game. Host Jeff Keighley said there would be more updates in the future, so forget about an early access date or platforms anytime soon. But he confirmed that it will be Larian's biggest title to date, even bigger than Baldur's Gate 3. A natural progression, but for now, we'll need to wait and see what kind of gameplay it offers. Hey, did you know that we at GamingBolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.